I will put my For Honor career on the line, everybody, and say Kensei has had the most balanced rework in the entire game. Him not being touched ever since his first major rework in 2018 means 1. The interns that work at Ubisoft left to go get cigarettes or milk at the gas station. 2. They forgot that Kensei existed. Or 3. The most logical explanation is that Kensei was the best rework they have ever given a hero in the past 5 years because they never had to touch him ever again. Which is why some people have speculated that Warden, a hero that has gotten like 3 major reworks and a bunch of adjustments over the years, is getting another touch up once again when so many other heroes deserve it more. We will already be receiving a Shaolin and Conquer rework, which is very welcome. Maybe except for Conquer and maybe a little bit of a touch-up here and there, but I digress. Warden is either unbalanced throughout the game's life cycle, or Ubisoft has no idea what they want to do with him. But all they had to do was look at Kensei and realize they had the answer all along. I know that Vanguards are supposed to be simple to play and easy to pick up, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't have other options when it comes to move variety. And this leads me to the point of why Kensei's rework is perfection. Kensei and Raider, both Vanguards from different factions, have a plethora of moves compared to Warden. And soft feints into heavies and lights with the unblockables, dodge attacks that lead into more chain mix-ups, and Kensei is a hero that doesn't overly rely on his bashes. He does have a bash, slow, but it's still reliable with soft feints, and especially when someone's out of stamina, this is probably the best use for it since the bash is quite slow. The soft feint lights and heavies can be helpful in some regard, but speeding up the heavy and getting into your bash much faster is the best way to solve this issue. This goes the same for Valkyrie as well, since her bash is also very slow. And I've always said that when I play a hero like Kensei, I find that I do not have a tool to deal with every single situation, so I must make up for it with pure skill. And even in this climate where heroes are getting undodgeables, unblockables, and dodge cancel recoveries, Harry tells me you're quite the dodge specialist. You know, I'm something of a dodge specialist myself. Dodge attacks like Kensei's can't even punish them anymore. It can be incredibly frustrating and tedious to fight them no matter what skill level you are. And when you're fighting against competent players and players that kind of know what they're doing, unlike the people that Farron fight, I don't know where he finds these opponents, by the way, but sometimes I just shake my head in awe and wonder where are you finding these guys from? Where? I have no idea. Also, I mean, his teammates can also be incredibly bad too, and that's another point, is that if you don't have good or reliable teammates that know what they're doing, you are going to lose 10 out of 10 if there's even a pirate or two that knows how to abuse the forward dodge heavy and the dodge cancels. And so to relieve yourself of this cock and ball torture, you pick a good hero with dodge cancels, good defensive capabilities, and all that good stuff. But I think to myself, would I rather fight sweaty opponents all the time, or fight opponents who don't know what they're doing but also have clueless potato head teammates on my team as well? I really hate how slow Kensei is. What? Oh my god! What the fuck? This freaking game in Pirate is just so annoying. I just show up for like 2 seconds and then I die. Dude! You just killed yourself, dude. Okay, here's the plan. Okay, this is good. Oh, baby! Can my team stop dying, please? Oh, holy shit. Oh my god! This is pretty much why Kensei needs a rework. That was 45 seconds of my life that I won't ever get back. Or Pirate needs a nerf, and they need to stop giving all these heroes easy ways to deal damage. They don't play their games. The interns do not play their game. That's the truth right there. So if you're not in the 0.5% of top players who can react to parry flashes or multiple parry flashes in 4v4, well then this is basically your experience. And the thing is, in that match, all my players were essentially new and just throwing out raw heavies, getting parry left and right, and ledged into the lava pit almost every single team fight. So me stalling there at point A couldn't mean anything less than dog shit. That's just the sad truth. Because when you don't have teammates, I mean, look at those two players over there, the Pirate and Lawbringer. Lawbringer wouldn't feed any revenge. The Pirate would go for the forward heavy attack, and I can't trade with it because I would always get hit by it with the hyper armor that the forward heavy has, and I really think that needs to be reduced significantly, or just get rid of it altogether. But if the Lawbringer does a hit stun or a GB, I'm automatically going to get hit by it, and I'll be inside the 100-0 gank every single time. There's no counterplay to that whatsoever, especially if you have bad teammates. Even Kensei, who used to be a god tier in 4v4 and anti-ganking too, can't really even do that efficiently anymore. The only thing I can do there is do a dodge attack incredibly early so I don't get guard broken from the Lawbringer or get hit by the Pirate. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because the best thing to do is stay at spawn and just wait for the game to be over and find a new game. GG, go next, basically. And I don't know about you guys, but ever since Crossplay, once we lose the first or second team fight, I seem to be in the situation where there's always at least 2 people that leave my games. This has been especially true since Crossplay has been added. For you console players out there, what is your experience with the console player base? Are people always just so salty and leaving because they don't want to deal with 4 pirates in a game or something like that? On PC, there would still be rage quits, but not as frequently. Ever since Crossplay has been added though, I feel like every single game has had a bunch of rage quits left and right, and there seems to be no backfill whatsoever. The problem with For Honor is that it has no backfill system. If someone leaves at like 300 points or 100 points, you would be lucky to even find players to join in afterwards. And to be down a player in 3v4 setting or 2v4 setting is such a huge lost cause because you need those teammates to win the team fights. Once you get that momentum, you pretty much just steamroll everybody. So let me know what your experiences are since Crossplay has been added, because I have never experienced a 2v4 situation so much ever since Crossplay has been added. Though I won't lie, sometimes a level 3 bot or a level 4 bot is better than a teammate who feeds revenge and just AFKs the entire match. I'm not gonna lie to you, I had games where I did win against 4 players, and I did also lose games where the other person has a bot, the other team has a bot. So it definitely feels satisfying to win those games, but in my experience, it's more like someone is holding you down by your balls while you're trying to fly. That's the worst analogy ever. Anyways, and I'm not saying that Warden has every single tool to deal with situations, especially in 4v4 where I think he's a little bit more lackluster than Kensei, but he does have a much more reliable and stronger chain pressure than Kensei. The only thing he really lacks is some strings and some stamina consumption, because his unblockable heavies are really god tier in team fights. And with these two Vanguard comparisons, one has essentially remained top tier picks for Dominion as one of a solo carry or a great team fighter in so many regards. And when you actually start to look at his kit, he really only has one unblockable chain heavy finisher and one very slow bash, and he's still a reliable pick in the game. Why is that? Why is it that every new hero or every single rework has gotten a bunch of chain unblockable pressure, chain bashes, undodgeables, left and right dodge recoveries, when Kensei is the perfect example? He's a hero that doesn't need all of these attack properties in front, or crushing counters, full blocks, dodge recoveries, and frickin' Oathbreaker. Unlike Raider is a different breed though, because he's been reworked into pretty much a monster with hyper armor, soft feints, and unblockables left and right. So to really understand why Kensei's rework is just so good for the game, we have to understand what the meta was back then and how he was as a hero in the golden age of For Honor. Alright guys, so this is Ferrum. Back in the day, 2018, he's still owning. I think this is when Gladiator came out too. 2018 January or something. And everyone is just super low HP. Look at Kensei. Like, he still feels the same and looks the same with the same attacks. Nothing's really changed too much. Look at that, I got the execution right there. Dude, I miss Lawbringer's old voice lines. Holy smokes. There's this Helm Splitter. What the heck is that? What? Dude, oh my god, wait, hold the phone here. This is a Helm Splitter into Nature's Wrath unblockable. That's what he had before. I don't remember that. Was that feigntable? That was feigntable, right? You gotta be kidding me. That was freaking insane. I mean, okay, we're gonna look at my boy Mega. I just saw this again. This is better than duels, if you guys can see here. His top heavy feint is really fast, really fast. And that's a soft feint into a heavy attack. So he already had all the tools for a soft feint. They just improved his unblockable heavy finisher to make it look better, and also just include Nature's Wrath as a different move on its own for roll catching.
More deflex.
Yeah, look at that. His chain heavies are much faster. I don't know why they don't just make his chain heavy, his second one, same speed as his other heavies, with the soft feint included. I think that'd be much better. Yeah, right there. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Look at Kensei's zone attack. It doesn't even hit them in the beginning. It's so bad, man, guys. Oh my gosh, that's freaking hilarious. That zone attack is so bad compared to what it is now. Huge shout out to Ferrum and Mege for playing Kensei back in season 1 and 2 and all that good stuff before he got reworked. Thank you guys. I used to binge watch these channels all the time and it was amazing, but now every time I pull up a For Honor video, I get some serious PTSD. So now when you look at that day and age, it seems that Kensei really only had 3 hit chain lights and heavies to deal damage to his opponents, besides the fact that he had soft feint heavy attacks within his unblockable mix-ups. His heavies were a little bit faster, especially his chain ones, and that allowed him to be slightly more aggressive, or at least feint those to bait certain attacks out. In that meta, you saw that Shaman and Gladiator, these heroes already had unblockable heavies and a toe stab or a bash to, you know, deal some offensive pressure. But since Kensei had a dodge attack, all is well in that area. He's still able to play defensively and get damage off if he made the right reads and could react to it. In that day and age, the meta was simply who could parry and turtle better. And during those days, option selects were still a thing, so if you pressed a zone on a red indicator, you would be able to parry that attack and make the guard break bounce off on the other opponent. And so the devs saw that and realized that since Kensei already had soft feint heavies, why don't they give him a soft feint light attack and a soft feint heavy attack within his mix-up and his unblockable mix-up to allow him to trade with that in mind. And after Kensei had gotten his rework, he was able to trade efficiently and effectively with heroes that would option select him frequently, maybe except for the option select bashes. However, that still made him a strong pick since he was one of the heroes with the best dodge attacks in the entire game. And here's one important thing I'd like to note back in the process of their reworks was that Kensei's second chain heavy, that allowed him to go into a light or a heavy attack. This by no means is a very offensive and reliable way to deal damage, but it made him fun and unique. You were able to press buttons and throw out attacks whatever way you wanted, and gave him some other options to deal and feint and play mind games instead of just going to light into unblockable heavy or light into bash. I really enjoy this style of reworks when it comes to making a hero more enjoyable to play. It doesn't necessarily have to even guarantee damage, as long as it's fun to use and fun to play against. That's all that really matters, because at the end of the day, we want to have fun and not do the same monotonous things over and over again. This is coming from a casual and a high level perspective, because I think Ubisoft is losing sight of that and focusing strictly on the top 1% of players that need only specific things to deal the most amount of DPS possible to get rid of the opponent and capture the bases. And I think that is the wrong way to go when it comes to balancing the game. We still need unique qualities about the character that don't even necessarily need to have an excessive point to their kit. Just look at Highlander's emote within his offensive stance. Simple things like that is what brings quality of life to a hero. What made you a strong hero in Dominion and just 1v1s in general back in the day in For Honor was that you had to have an unblockable heavy attack and a reliable bash. Kensei didn't have that pommel strike before he was reworked, but he did have a dodge attack which helped him a lot to get into his pressure. But after they gave him the pommel strike, he quickly rised up to the top tiers and was used by pretty much everybody. And since he was a vanguard and easily accessible and easy to learn, people still enjoyed playing him even though he wasn't considered the best hero. And with all of that in mind, the only real serious complaint that I can take from Kensei, of people who fought against Kensei, is that his dodge attack was a bit overtuned, and that simply was because he could target swap and dodge attack to get away from certain mix-ups. That and the ability to essentially delay his dodge attack so he could determine if he wanted to commit or not. And unfortunately, Griffin had to get absolutely destroyed by Ubisoft without any loot whatsoever, while Kensei gets to keep his dodge attack. And that's simply because Griffin was in the spotlight at the time, while Kensei's wasn't as controversial. And in those days, we also didn't have heroes that would dodge cancel or have recovery cancels with their full blocks to essentially negate anybody target swapping and doing a dodge attack to punish them. And with more heroes receiving hyper armor, these dodge attacks are feeling, less impactful in a lot of my games recently. And the thing is, it wasn't even that strong. It was a good tool to avoid mix-ups and reposition, but we've already had heroes that could deal with that efficiently. Warlord, which was one of the top picks back in the day when he didn't get nerfed, and even if he is still nerfed, he already had full blocks and hyper armor to trade. Warmonger could just use her undodgeable heavy attack, Aramusha with the blockades, Conqueror with his full block. All the heroes that have certain defensive capabilities with crushing counters, they could all just do whatever the hell they wanted when Kensei do his dodge attack. It wasn't an overpowered tool compared to what we have now, where basically so many heroes are untouchable in so many regards if you're not using a specific hero. And it's not that you necessarily need these specific heroes in the game mode, because in casual matchmaking you can play whatever the hell you want, and you should still be able to win your games if you play well and make good reads and have good teammates. However, in this day and age, when there's too many heroes that have dodge cancels and unblockables left and right where you can't necessarily punish them all the time, it becomes tedious and monotonous to even try to parry them or even go for these punishes. Heroes like Orochi and Pirate who just dodge cancel every single attack of your mix-ups and external and target swap, you can't really do anything in that moment. And especially when single pick doesn't exist, you're gonna have to deal with that constantly. And so if you're not picking a good hero, you're gonna give yourself a huge headache. So if you play heroes like Yorm, Lawbringer, Nusha, or Peacekeeper, you constantly have to be on the defense in team fights and take a ton of chip damage. And it's not like that isn't fun, because you get a whole different perspective and a feeling of accomplishment when you use certain heroes compared to others, because I'm not gonna lie, this one character does take a little bit more skill than the other, and that's just plain as day. If you win using a hero that doesn't have as much tools as the others, you basically outskill them, and it feels satisfying as hell to outplay your opponents. And I really do think that's why I never feel bad when I lose against a Kensei when I pick any other hero. I don't think Kensei really has an edge necessarily over any of the characters on the roster, because one, they can always interrupt him on his openers, and he still has to play passively, or not necessarily passively, but he needs to play methodically and do well with his reads and reactions to, beat his opponent. He doesn't have anything that's oppressive and too strong compared to heroes like Pirate or Raider who have infinite chain unblockables, and even annoying heroes like Conqueror who simply just bash and dodge into the attack of your direction and bash into you with their superior block. And I believe Ubisoft is doing this to every single hero because they're trying to balance it around some Dominion series as game where role queue is an important factor. You need heroes that play a certain role. You need gankers, you need stallers, you need team fighters, you need peelers, and all of that good stuff. So it's been almost 5 years since 2018, and it seems like Kensei is starting to fall behind from all of the reworks that we've gotten. Everybody with dodge cancels, full block recoveries. It's very hard to do well in this environment. I'm not saying you can't do well, but it can be very frustrating if you're not using a top tier hero yourself. So how do we buff Kensei? Well, that's a great looking question, Timmy. Let me tell you. In the perfect world, we need to nerf other heroes because the power creep is too real. That's the truth right there. I don't care what you say. Actually, I do care what you say. And if you do disagree with me, please let me know your reasoning down below, because one, things have gotten way too out of hand. I feel like heroes don't need all these crazy dodge cancel recoveries, full block recoveries on everything. But we don't live in a perfect world, unfortunately. So the main thing I would do for Kensei is obviously to keep things simple, because I still want him to remain a skill-based hero and a hero that doesn't have every single tool to deal with every single situation, because one, that would just make him plain boring to play in my opinion, because there's a lot of people like myself who enjoy playing slightly weaker heroes or quote-unquote balanced heroes, just to make it seem like we're not playing this game on easy mode all the time. Because when I play Black Prior, Pirate, Orochi, or any hero with a dodge cancel, recovery, or recovery in general, it's just easy mode all the way, I kid you not. So the first thing I would do is speed up his heavies and his chain heavies, especially his second chain heavy attack. Allow the heavy feint to be faster and allow him to get into pommel strike incredibly fast at the same speed like any other hero with a heavy into bash. Heavy into bashes need to be quicker and they need to be more reliable. The problem with Kensei is that as soon as you go into his top light opener, he gets lighted out of that immediately. They also need to fix the recoveries after using an unblockable into soft feint light attack, because that is always GBable when people dodge that, when in reality it's supposed to be catching people. If they just made it undodgeable, I think that would be fun, and I think that'd be interesting because it would also help out people who try to option select him. In addition, into making that unblockable soft feint light into undodgeable, we should also make the unblockable soft feint to heavy a little bit faster, maybe 100 ms faster, because most of the times people would just be able to block that if they dodge. So I think it would be nice if I was able to catch them and not allow them to switch their guard and actually guarantee damage after that. If not, that's fine too, because the chip damage is also nice. It's mainly used around for team fighting and stuff like that, but I still think it might require a little bit of tweaking here and there. The other thing I'd like to change is that allow him to get into his mix-ups after doing a running tip, because every hero or rework that we've gotten so far is able to do something crazy or get into a chain mix-up right after that, so I feel like it would only make sense. The next thing that I think would fix his offensive pressure significantly is allowing Helm Splitter to be enhanced. So it's essentially going to act the same way as Zhenhu, because he's able to do a forward dodge light or a palm strike, having two options. I think giving Kensei at least these two options is really beneficial for the game, and creating some sort of mind game when you're actually fighting an opponent, so he doesn't just have to look out for the palm strike. And that's really all you need for Kensei when it comes to rework, because he kind of is the perfect hero. He's a balance of every single character in the game, which soft feints are very helpful. He's got a bash, he's got a good dodge attack, he's got superior block. All these things really matter when it comes to making a hero balanced, in my opinion, when it comes to, you know, the characters that we have right now. He's not over the top, he's not too crazy, he's fair and balanced, there's ways to negate him, he has weaknesses, he has strengths, and most importantly, he's fun to play against. And if you guys feel differently, that's totally fine too. Let me know why you think that is, but on PC and even at a mid to like high level play, Kensei is a hero that if you underestimate, he's gonna kick your ass, and he's also a hero where if you understand what the character's strengths and weaknesses are, you're able to deal with them quite well, and at the end of the day, it comes down to player skill on who is better and who can make the better reads in that moment. I understand the reasoning on why people don't like having a dodge attack that's so delayable, but there's so many heroes that have this. We'd have to nerf Kensei, we'd have to nerf Raider, Berserker, Shaman, Peacekeeper, all these heroes with delayable dodge attacks. If we want to do that, we might as well nerf everybody, but the thing is, you kind of need that in this environment where everybody has dodge cancels already. But in this silly gun game, I really do believe that Kensei is the most balanced hero in the game, and he's probably the best rework that Ubisoft has ever or will ever perform, unless they decide to actually look at Kensei once again and determine that, hey, maybe this is the answer that we've had all along. And if you think there's a hero that has a better kit or has gotten the perfect rework, let me know down below, because I would be curious to know what you think. That'll be all from me. The box is going to bed now. Bye bye. See you later.